Best of 5 qualifying match. The winner will then go through to the DreamHack SC2 Masters Last Chance tournament in the second week of January, where there's a lot of prize money. It's kind of like, if you're watching the DreamHack SC2 Masters this year, it's kind of like a season finals, only people don't qualify through regional events. People qualify through these qualifiers, which are server qualifiers, so it should be even more stacked than usual. 8 people come out of this Asian or Korean server qualifier. As in the bottom left-hand side, our red Terran player from Team NV, it's Maru. His former teammate in the top right-hand side, who has not found a team just yet, in the blue, is Trap. Of course, Jin Air Green Wings recently disbanding. Everybody found a team. Maru created SOS over to Team NV, while Rogue went to Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Everybody found a team the same day, other than Trap. So I assume Trap just maybe looking around for the right offer. He'll get a good offer at some point. Best Protoss in Korea, arguably the world. He's, you know, alongside maybe Stats, who's retiring to the military at some point in the future, right? So Trap is absolutely the future of Protoss. I'm sure he's going to get a team without too much difficulty. He's probably just finding, like I say, the right offer. So yes, first game of this best of 5 is Probes go nibbling the SCV to turn it away. Engineering Bay block does come down, and Maru is going to slow down Trap's expansion for the early stages of this, at least for the early few moments. So Probes is going to nibble the Engineering Bay. We do have the factory on the way up from Maru as well, so he is going to turn this into a one-base opener. So factory before an expansion. So yeah, you come in here, Trap sees no expand, that's already a little bit cause for alarm. I mean, this is typically what happens though when you go Engineering Bay block. Yeah, this is typically what happens when you go for the Engineering Bay block, right? You block the hatchery and then you block the Nexus, and then back at home you just go factory before you expand. Maru even going to expand on that high ground. So just playing safe. And the factory can jump over to the reactor if it would like to and make some Hellions, perhaps. He could go Widow Mines. He's got a choice here. He's going to have the money for either or. Looks like he's also getting ready to build a starport, so it should just be a couple Hellions. And we'll see that on the way. I'm just going to preface this game as well by saying they didn't turn WCS Game Heart mod on, guys, so we are missing the Game Heart mod. We will not have workers killed on the side of the screen or anything. I'll do my best to let you know how many workers died during each fight, and this means upgrades won't show up on the right side either, so just want to say, hopefully we'll get that resolved for game number 2. But the players are hosting these lobbies as they so often do in these qualifiers, and so in those sort of scenarios, just gotta, you know, in those sort of scenarios, just gotta kind of, well, kind of, deal with it, right? Maru was hosting the game, so like, I get it, I see how it goes. Usually a Korean commentator who joined actually tells them, hey, you know, rehost with the mod, you know? Rehost with the mod, and then they don't rehost. This time, and then they rehost usually, but this time they just didn't rehost, so... Oh, he didn't say anything, so, I mean, maybe he's just like, no. Maru is just, like, too much. I draw the line. I will not request Maru to rehost his games. So this is a Phoenix opener. We talked about this in Beyond vs. Stats earlier, but the idea of a Phoenix opener on a map like this, it's a good map for tank pushers. It's a good map for, you know, small aggressive, being aggressive on. The Hellions really help you to shut down that pressure. Sorry, the Phoenix help you to shut down that pressure as they shut down the Hellions right now. I'm really misspeaking a lot in this series. So the Phoenix really help you to shut down that pressure, and that's the logic behind going for the Phoenix on the openers here. As you are going to be seeing. The Medevac making its way up to the top side. 4 Widow Mines inside, so that's more mines than what the Phoenix can just lift. Right now, the Phoenix do kind of miss the Medevac as the Hellions get picked off. Oh my god, these Phoenix and the Medevac are like flying in sync, and then the Medevac's going to be seen as it boosts forward for Phoenix. I mean, the Medevac will get a full unload here, so then you start to lift. If you lift everything, you just don't have the DPS to continue through. Okay, that's pretty much best case scenario, though. 1 probe for 4 Widow Mines, and then the Medevac kill as well. He didn't clean this up, but he will clean it up now as the Adept shade in. Just didn't want to use another Phoenix lift when it's not necessary. So 1 probe and a minor probe pull, and now Maru is going for a second Widow Mine drop. So second Widow Mine. drop. Comes around this right side. He actually, okay, I kind of like the trap he sets up here. You know, he says, well, if you fly in with your Phoenix and you find my medevac, you might just lose everything because the Widow Mines just sit there. So I wonder if it's too obvious, though, because why would a random medevac be out on that right side of the map? It almost does just feel too obvious, right? As you just see the medevac up around the top. We do have a Robo-Bay on the way in from Trap in the main base as well. Just going to be seeing our Nexus on the third. And the Observer of Trap just moving through to the center. We'll see this medevac coming in, so the Phoenix is going to be on top of it in an instant. Now these Widow Mines move through as well, so he's going to just multi-prong it, and, well, that's obviously going to make it more difficult to deal with. Good lifts to begin with here. The probe's a little bit stacked. Only gets 2. Really well controlled by Trap, honestly. Just really dealing with this very well. Just going to give up the Adept instead of the... he actually gets the kill on the Widow Mine before the Adept dies. Because the Widow Mine, when it fires, it reveals itself. Oh my god, he's going to find these 2 as well. The Widow Mine reveals itself as it fires. So the Adept, you know, while the Widow Mine shot is traveling, the Adept can get 1 shot off. And that's basically what happens there. And look at this Units Lost tab. 12 mines, 2 medevacs, 2 Hellions. For 5 probes and an Adept. That results in 375 to 1,800 resources lost. You're talking about a game in which Trap is in full control. Phoenix, perfect choice, absolutely. Put him in the perfect position, basically, for playing against Maru here in game number 1. Maru chose a really harassment-heavy build, and Trap chose a build that just completely shuts that down. Third base now up and running, Colossus production underway. Maru has a 3rd CC. He's got the SCV count above 2 base saturation, so he will move that out at some point soon. I don't know what he does from this kind of position, because he's given up a lot early to really achieve so little. I'm not sure what the next step really is, as we do have a few Phoenix down in the bottom right. The Twilight Council is finishing up some point soon here. Double Forge in the main base as well from Traps. Again, that Double Forge up and rolling. A couple of gates over in the natural, and again, these Phoenix continue to fly around up to the top side. So flying around up to the top, we're going to join up together, and just going to be having 6 of them in the main base, as we do have a few Marines pulling out toward the third. And a few mules just going to drop down onto the mineral patches as well. So just going to get mining over on the third base, with a couple of extra Vikings on the way out here from Maru as well, really preparing to deal with the Colossus threat. It's kind of necessary, because you're going to have to deal with the Phoenix and the Colossi, right? And that's the strength of this composition, that the Phoenix are a buffer in the sky for the Colossi as well. So you're really just in a great position kind of all around, really. Great position through and through, as we're going to be seeing Marines going to run across and try and intercept a group of Phoenix here. Doesn't quite manage to. So Phoenix come up to the top side. Temple Archives on the way in from Trap as well in the main base. Just going to see how Phoenix continue to pull back, and just going to be seeing a Marine gets lifted up. I'm just going to be seeing the Phoenix continue to get pushed away from this here. So that gets pushed all the way back as charges on the way. 1-1 upgrades. Now we have the Ghost Academy setting up as well. In the upper left, Prism coming through, 1-1 about to finish, and the charge is about to complete. Kind of a really passive game. Obviously, the thing is, Trap says, you know, Maru says, well, I didn't do well enough early to really take advantage of anything, and Trap says, well, I just want to sit back and wait for my tech to kick in, which is exactly what he's done. Moving everything to the bottom side. There's a few extra units warping in off the Prism, Zealots, and High Templar. Scan to see what's up, as the Phoenix actually hit a Widow Mine shot. Felt as though Trap knew about those mines and then just accidentally kind of stepped too far forward. Viking's going to find an Observer, and hey, they're going to get a Prism as well. It's a great setup for Maru, because this really delays Trap from committing into the fight, right? Now Trap has to just back away, take a few moments. This really resets Trap from being able to just kind of commit in and kind of jump on some opportunities here. So that's obviously pretty good news. There's a couple of Vikings are on the way. A lot of Zealots going to go running down the bottom right side. So already setting up a run by for fourth base that's now moving out. So that's obviously a pretty good establishment from Trap, who seems to be very happy just to let this play long. Does not want to go attacking and obviously can't really with the Prism loss, but is not making an immediate attempt to kind of go forward again. And Maru is also just happy to play this very late game. 2 more command centers in the main. So I actually casted a game between Innovation and... I don't want to say it was it maybe Trap? It was Innovation and somebody recently. No, it was Innovation Zest. It was from the NetEase event, the Chinese event we covered last week. That Trap ended up winning. And as these cells get shut down. And Innovation played on this map super passive, just like Maru is doing on 4 bases and so on. And what Zest did was he just said, well, I'm just going to build Stargates, Fleet Beacon, and Carriers. And he just went, and because Innovation put no pressure on, Innovation just fell apart. Now, Maru is not going to have that same problem because Trap is not going into the kind of the super late game anyway just yet. But if there is a way to deal with it, this is what the point of my story. If there's a way to deal with kind of a Terran that's just sitting back defensively, as the Terran player, if you're just kind of forced to do this and the Protoss is just going to have the map and have the bases, do just take like a massive command center. It's like, this is the way you make this kind of style work out. Because now you can go to 5 bases. Now you've got a really good mule count. You've got a lot of scans available. Like, if you're going to make it happen, this is how you do it. And you really invest in your kind of ultimate late game army. 2 more starports on the way. Maru's just inviting us into a treat of a game, isn't he? One that's going to potentially go long. Potentially have a lot of fun moments in it as you see a hallucination gets picked off and the bunker on the left side shut down. Yeah, Tank's obviously looking to see what they can find. The CMPs cover the army as well. That's why it's scary to push into those positions. These Zealots will find some bits and pieces over here, but they'll actually just back away. So yeah, I mean, you talk about it was 1800 versus 400 resource lost earlier. Look at how much Maru's caught up in that by a huge margin, from 1500 behind to 400 behind. So that's just Trap kind of having a few observers picked off, the Prism picked off, you know, a couple Zealots here and there. Of course, the difference right now in that is minuscule compared to the fact that Trap is going up to 6 bases already. But of course, Maru just says that he wants to kind of sit back and not do much here. He wants to play it late game, so Trap's going to kind of meet his demands, drop down the Fleet Beacon, and we're going to play this late game, guys. We're going to have our Disrupt DTs coming in as well. So we're going to have that Shadow Stride to add to the harassment, so that's something to watch out for in the next few moments, because that's going to start, and that's going to make Maru's life much more difficult when it comes to trying to defend bases. Yeah, Maru just continues to build a massive command centers at the moment, so absolutely has no intentions of taking this anywhere too different just yet. Rock's gonna get cleared out on the left-hand side, and we do just have the army here from Trap continuing to back away. Again, a few extra cannons just on the way in, +3 attack, +3 armor. And the extra DTs all coming through. The Side Storm is going to be finishing in just a few moments as well. I'm just going to be seeing the, again, full-on later game setup coming through. The big question is just, can Maru trade well enough off 4 bases for now to overcome the fact that Trap is just on 6 bases and 81 workers? Well, I mean, so far I think yes. If Trap keeps on trying to push in like this, of course he is trying to free up some supply. If he wants to make use of that Fleet Peak, you need some supply free to actually start up the carrier production, right? So you got to trade in some way, and if he throws a few disruptors into his opponent, he's gonna lose the Colossus. Obviously, Vikings are good to get rid of. Ghosts always good to get rid of, and there's a bit of a clash as DTs show up, but they're gonna get caught in multiple directions. The DTs do not have that great of a time at all. He's actually lost 14 DTs already. Well, Trap is going to start trading. You can see it already. He's trading very badly. The whole idea is you trade badly with the DTs. It's kind of like how Zerg plays versus Terran. You trade inefficiently, but you use the inefficient trades to deny bases, and if you don't get bases up as a Terran player, the efficiency doesn't matter from the Protoss. As he gets a Colossus, and the game just moving around at the moment seems to be a difficulty for Trap. He hasn't actually made any use out of that Fleet Beacon just yet, and I really do feel like that's kind of meant to be his future in a way. Gets a couple disruptor shots here as DT is going to blink, and there's a fourth base denial. So already starting to see where these DTs are going to be coming in very useful, right? As they clean out a whole bunch of SCVs over here as well. As Maru's going to go to the bottom right side. Now, at the same time, you've got to remember that Maru just has an orbital he can lift up and replace here, but he lost a few SCVs as well, and now it is an orbital, so it's not going to defend itself even from Zealots. Obviously, there's not much defending against that amount of Dark Templar. But that's the risk you run, right? It feels as though Trap really did take until he lost a whole bunch of DTs before DTs started to really do damage here and to really succeed. But now he's starting to do the things which he needs to, as he keeps the pressure up on the left side. That's going to be more difficult now because Maru is getting a stack of Liberators. You know, I don't actually think you go Carriers here as you might sometimes go for in these scenarios. I actually think you just go Tempest because of the Liberator count already being so high. I think you just build Tempest as Trap, and then you can actually deal with the Liberators from a distance, of course. So that one Oracle get the Revelations off, and then just Tempest, Tempest, Tempest. The problem is right now, if these Liberators get into any sort of aggressive position, Trap is just screwed because he's got no way of dealing with it. Trap's way of dealing with these Liberators sieging up is the fact that he's got bases on both sides of the map, so you can at least just retreat from maybe the top left over to the right side. That's not a long-term solution, but that might buy him enough time to get Tempest out to then deal with the Liberators before he loses another base. Of course, right now his answer is to also just keep the pressure up to keep these Liberators at home. Couple of still going through these. GTs just going to blink on SCVs. No, they're going to go for the orbital and blink out. Yeah, there's 3 Liberators here though, so they're doing pretty well at shutting DTs down. And that was kind of, obviously that became pretty expensive pretty quickly as, you know, when Trap moves forward. Disruptor's going to fire. A couple command centers taking some hits already, and the rest of this army of Trap moves away up the left side. Now more DTs out through the center and seeing where they can get to as well. 2 more Stargates on the way in. I mean, I'm really intrigued by this mass Stargate investment. I do think the plan is just at some point he wants to pull the trigger and just build like 5 either Carriers or Tempests at once. Again, I'm still not against the idea of the Tempest based on what we currently have. DT's going to find a slot where these Liberators don't cover. DT's also in the natural, also in the main. Main army trying to find a push forward, but again, the Liberator coverage at the front is good. It's the harassment that Maru can't really deal with at the moment, as we're going to be seeing the DTs in the main get scanned. They try to blink away, and the Bioforce will continue to chase into turrets, so he will get the kills on these DTs. How many workers have died this game now? 49 SCVs have gone down. Again, we don't have that worker kill counter, so it's difficult to keep track of exactly what's lost every time here, but I mean, definitely seen some sizable losses again. The biggest thing for Trap is that he really is just keeping Maru away from bases. And denying this 4th base means that now, once again, you're replacing the 4th base instead of going up to 5 bases, at least on this bottom side of the map. He has got a 5th base up on the far left side, and that's somewhere where Trap will maybe have to look at right now, because obviously he's given up the pressure on the left side. But what he might just say now is if he just kind of swaps it around. He says, right, I'm going to hit this base with GTs and harassment, and I'm going to put my main army over here because I want to protect these bases that I'm trying to take. These are Maru's bases that Trap is just starting to take, you know, to establish his bases on. Like, that is not meant to happen. Trap with the casual 16 Dark Templar just rotating to the bottom side of the map as well. Maru's army is still strong. Mass Liberator Viking Ghost, but again, it's going to struggle to ever get across the map. I actually feel like if you can force a fight, Maru might be in a good spot, but because he can't leave his side of the map, it doesn't really matter. Because he can't force a fight. Beautiful EMPs there do catch the DTs, and that will dissuade them from committing to anything anytime soon. With the SCV repair, this orbital might just survive, and the Liberators, you can see how quickly they start to stack up and deal damage. Widowmine's going to hit a Disruptor as well. No Observer in this army, as DTs now did make the blink in. They jump onto what remains of the bio, which honestly isn't that much. Hey, and now the Liberators are quite far away, so these Swords will get in range again. Liberator's going to be forced to relocate. You just get the base now, blinks out, but the Liberators are going to get a lot of damage in the process. I mean, Trap is very heavily committed in there. Maru just has no gas, though. He's messed up the gas here a little bit. Needs to get another worker on this one. Trap's turned this into like mass Stalker Disruptor, which has me a little bit worried. But of course, the mobility is the key to this, right? His idea is that he's going to go just in different directions all the time. He's going to kill another orbital right now. Well, no, he should really get that orbital. I think he kind of knows it as well. Now he's just going to blink left. There is a planetary fortress here, even if the actual base isn't a planetary. There's one right next to it that is. I'm surprised he didn't finish that orbital. I felt like that might have been the better pick than the Liberator, but... Okay, I mean, Trap losing a lot. Again, resources lost. About a 6k difference. I mean, Maru lost a lot too. His ghost account got reset. Everything on the ground dying to those Dark Templar again and again. Because those DTs are now going to go hunting in the natural and main. And the thing is, if the Liberators aren't set up, they just aren't really a good response to the DTs, right? They're going to try and chase DTs down and, you know, siege on the fly. That's not going to go well. Now you've just got Stalkers coming back in over here. And now Trap's going to kind of just commit to it. He just blinks through. He's going to go for all of these Liberators. Yeah, he really just wants to finish this up right now, and I think he just might be able to. The DTs are coming in production. Maru knows it's over as well, and this was a Maru who wanted to play late game. He got his wish. And this Trap will clean up everything else. He got his wish, but Trap just was in too good of a position. Go into game number 2, and in the bottom right-hand side again, maybe his hand was forced as to what he had to do because of the opening not going that well. Our red Terran. It is Maru. Down a map against the blue Protoss on the top left-hand side. It is Trap leading 1-0. I'm impressed. Trap was ready to make that big air switch, but he just didn't see the need to. He really felt like... I think the air switch is if he gets to 5 bases, you air switch, right? And then you kind of have to deal with it, but on 4 bases... you really can just work around. And yes, he got the left side 5th base up, but a moment later he lost the 4th base. And Trap just kept the map control that entire time. Maru was basically like playing almost like a single player campaign. He's like, oh my god, I gotta survive for 25 minutes, I'm gonna get extracted. And he didn't get extracted, he only survived until 22, so... Alright, so, yeah, I mean, we have to reset from that game, which is such a weird game to reset from, like I was saying. It's definitely a little bit, just a weird one to have play out. I mean, again, Maru really accepted late game early. He added the 5th and 6th command center in his main and morphed them to orbitals early. He went into lib production and extra starports right away. As this game, we'll see a Nexus going down. We'll see Maru looking to expand right away. No engineering bay block, so that's the main first difference right away. So we've seen our probe going back to the upper left-hand side. And the SCV just going to stay natural, actually. So he's going to try and put the bunker up behind this mineral line. And if Trap doesn't check for that, it could be a problem. A lot of players will just rally their first unit down to this low ground nowadays, though, just to shut exactly this play down. The last thing you want is for the bunker to actually get up behind your natural expansion, right? So it comes down, the probe sees it as well. You put a little bit of damage onto the SCV just to make sure, especially with the Stalker popping out. Just wants to make sure you can actually get this denial. 1, 2, and one more shot just gets it in time. So yeah, the probe actually might have been essential there, as we do see the Reaper coming in. Stalkers obviously take 4 hits to kill an SCV. And by taking 4 hits to kill an SCV, again, if the probe hadn't been there, if that had been a 4-hitter, that might have just been a finished bunker. And then it's just a shield battery that has to come down. It's just a major annoyance. So Trap has been playing, and Stats as well, both the top pros in Korea have been playing a fair amount of 4-gate blink, and I think that might be what we see now. Robo Facility goes down very quick after the Twilight, so a very fast 4-gate blink, something along those lines to put some pressure on a map which you can really do that on very well, because you come to the frontier, you put some pressure on, you can rotate and hit this main base very soon after. That rotation is easily made as the Adept going to jump in with the Stalker, gets a bunch of the Marines, and only one left in the bunker, so they're going to commit behind the mineral line and just try and be an annoyance. It's already 2 SCVs, you're stopping from mining, you're going to maybe get one that finishes building or so. Yeah, that's a nice little annoyance right now, and 2 more Marines show up, but if they have to come out of the bunker to fight, probably not going to have a good time, and he's target firing the command center, so he doesn't get shots onto an SCV that maybe could have led to a kill. The Dark Shrine, so that's the other option when you go for this very fast Robo. the Dark Shrine, obviously you need the War Prism up to give the DTs directions to go in. So this is a very fast Dark Temple here. He's built the DT Shrine out to the left-hand side. Now, of course, he put the Twilight Council down in front of the Reaper initially, so Maru knows what this opener is. You know, Trap put the Twilight down. I almost thought it was almost like a building just blocked to try and guarantee the Reaper kill or something, but no, he just didn't want to delay the Twilight for anything. So Maru should know about the Twilight. The question is, does he prepare for the Twilight? Widowmines go across the map, and they might become the saviors of this game. As he's going to see the Adept, the War Prism moving over. But now the Adept knows about the Medevac, so he knows where this drop is coming in from. And so Maru is already figured out a little bit. Now, there's not a lot at home from Trap. As he warps into 3 DTs, there is a Raven on the way from Maru. I mean, this is very popular nowadays as well, to get the Raven now. But of course, the Raven can only be in so many places at once. And as 2 DTs go to the main and one will walk into the natural, you will still have some work to do here because you are not on any scans. 5 seconds or so until a scan is ready. First, Widowmine actually just walks into the front, but that gets shut down. Now 2 in the main base will begin to drop the DT shove, and they're already swiping down a bunch of SCVs. Scan here doesn't matter because obviously you just lift into the prism. But there's the Raven at least to shut this down as the Medevac gets shot down. And then we just have a Widow Mine in the main. He didn't realize it's still a mine here. Trap realizes it too late. 7 probes go down. And that's actually really sad. Alright, so I guess the Widow Mine and now the Robo Base setting up. As the Raven at the front actually picks off that DT at least. And Trap just going to turn this into the Archon drop. It's one of the things that actually made this style very popular and very successful lately. The Archon drop, which allows you to obviously kind of follow up with some good pressure. It works really well actually dropping onto Marines. And the Prism can generally stay safe enough, but that's where the Viking is really important. The Viking can help to zone out this Prism way better, so this Archon drop might not actually turn into much harassment at all. Trap gets third Nexus to the top side, obviously behind all of this that's going on. Charge on the way. His transitions continue well. Now we're just extra tech lab, extra barracks, which will go to tech labs for upgrades, and an engineering base as well. So starting to look toward upgrades here, Maru. He swaps a couple of racks over. He's actually going to build a tech lab on this rack itself. That's fine because if you start stim and then you go tech lab into combat shields, you'll actually still be lined up on those 2 upgrades because combat shields. It's a shorter build time than Stim does. The Viking actually gets a lot of damage on the Prism and really pushes it back here. So that's a Prism that's hurting quite heavily, as now the Stalkers missed the Vikings. So the Viking's still around. He's going to send the Archons in to try and get some shots, and if the Viking turns left, he would have had the Stalkers to kill it. If he can turn south, apparently the Archons can just kill it as well. And I'll say, you look at this early, and once again, it's a resource loss advantage to the Protoss player. You know, a couple DTs went down, but he killed 13 SCVs in total. He denied the Widow Mine drop. If he hadn't lost, imagine he didn't lose those 7 probes. Those 7 workers were pretty much the one reason we saw Trap having any sort of, or Maru having any sort of hope right now. If those 7 workers didn't go down, this would have been terrible. Tank siege up, and we do have the Prism backing away up through to the top side of the map, so moving that around a little bit as again Colossus, couple of Stalkers coming through, and our upgrades on the Forges continuing along as well. 1 Adept of Trap will lead the charge down through the center of the map, and the Prism out to the right side. A couple of the Archons inside of there still too. Prism into the main, and the 2 Archons. I'm just going to jump on that missile turret already, so taking through that. Turret goes down already. The Raven is actually something you got to be careful about. You don't want the Archons to get the kill on it, but yeah, I mean, this is again just finding ways to deal damage with this Archon drop, which I think is really nice still, because it's not been a lot that he's fine with the Archon drop, but he's keeping it going, and of course it keeps Maru distracted as well. This Archon drop needs to move south and probably needs to get out of here because these Marines are showing up. He's going to escape up the right side one more time, so he does get out alive. You don't want to lose that, right? 2 Archons, and It's just as big of a deal as if you lose in PvZ. Two Archons can absolutely sway fights sometimes. So, yes, important to keep that alive. As we do see Trap now bringing everything else across. This two Colossus timing is something that's really developed over the last month or so to really be viable. And basically you just say, well, once I get two Colossi, I'm basically in a position where if he's not being aggressive into me, I can keep him pinned back. And it's difficult because he's relying on stuff like the siege tanks. But if I'm just on the map, then if he can't really just siege the tanks up aggressively onto my army, can he? So you can really poke around as much as you'd like in these scenarios. Trap might just go for it. You may feel as though the lead he has early is just good enough to go. And yeah, he hits a Matrix on one of the Colossus and two of the Colossi, actually. He tried to save one with the lift up. Oh, they dub forward a little bit. Archons are going to hold the line. Extra Zealots showing up, and I think Trap does not really have enough to break through here. That was a bad call on the attack. Yeah, he really actually committed more than I thought he would. I thought he was just going to poke around like I was sort of suggesting. Now he's got Colossus over here that was derping forward too. Saves that one at least. But yeah, the Colossi derping once they were interference matrixed. The Raven really coming into play there. And I tell you what else might have just saved him. Command Center actually soaked all of the Zealot charge. So the Zealots ended up running into the Marines without charge. And that just means that they take longer to get into the fight, right? And so that's just a wave of, a couple slashes of Zealots. And you never know what difference that makes to then the rest of the splash damage, maybe just getting the kills instead of just damaging stuff down. Bio shows up, picks off a pylon here. Obviously Maru feeling like this is an opportunity for him to counterattack, which he's not really wrong about. He's correct in that assumption. As Bio gets pushed away on this top side, these couple mines will be needing to be cleared out soon. Cute little play with the Stalker. Just gonna friendly fire the Stalker down to get the kill. Oh my goodness, what? 2 HP left on the Stalker and he survives, but man, he's like absolutely a hero of the Protoss army right now. He should get to retire. Trap should just put him in the back of the main base. It's not even somewhere that gets dropped. Maybe like here in the natural. He should just retire him. Instead, he's got to fight against Bio. Just in case the Protoss damage wasn't enough for that through a Stalker. Man, Maru's kind of everywhere. That last last fight from Trap is really just a bit of a messed up one, and it's really costing him. It's making life really difficult for him to engage into any of these positions. He's missing detection over here, so he can't deal with the mines. I mean, he has tried to go up to 5 bases already, but that's of course against the Maru who's on 4 bases. He just picks off this Nexus and will pick up and leave the way up to the main. High on loading, a couple of Stalkers just going to be picking away at it. Oh, we do have the +2 armor. Going to get picked off as well. So the Forge goes down and the Stalker's going to blink through. They're going to get the kill in the medevac, so the full medevac goes down. Maru now trying to reinforce to the top side here, or he might try and run into this kind of Stalker Colossus force as well. As on the left, these Widow Mines getting picked away at, and a few more DTs actually warping into the right, but there's a scan already. This position is going to be hard to defend. We do have an Immortal showing up. He just doesn't have detection again, right? That's the problem. Blinks away from the first Widow Mine shot, sends the Zealot for the next one, but there's even more to come. He does scare this army off. I mean, that's a lot of medevacs as well. You've got to be careful about those. If you lose all those medevacs, you're not having a great time either. One observer on the map just goes back to the left side. He's making another, which I will guess will rally over here to help, if possible, if at all. Army working its way through the rocks right now. So picking away at this, Bio going to show up. Oh, Pylon's obviously a good target. Shuts down the warp in. 2 of the Zealots got through, but these Widow Mines are still alive. That's why you didn't really want to leave the... I'll bring the Observer back the other way. Tell you what though, Trap's saying, well, you're giving up a lot of army, harassing and kind of hitting me with, drop squads. So Trap's going to respond by just going across the map. And honestly, there is not a lot to deal with all this splash damage. Nothing to really fight Colossi. No ghosts up at all. It is just bio units. So Trap makes the right sort of call. He makes the right identification like, hey, you don't really have much to actually fight my tech here. Maru comes in from the top side. Those Colossi are not well protected. He needs to lift it up, and he does save it. As you have SUVs in the back kind of getting massacred. The big thing right now is just he needs a few Zealots, because at the moment, stuff like the Colossi just getting stimmed on top of this. Immortal gets caught immediately as well. Medevacs have to leave over to the right side. I'm just going to see the extra Stalker showing up. He got pushed away. Man, Maru's got the bottom left. If Trap knew about that, he'd be on top of it in an instant. He's going to move through here. A couple of Widow Mine shots. Going to get the Prism. Can you continue to fight this without the Prism? I really don't think you can. You've got units that are fighting in depot as well on the top side. Trap has to back away. He'll drop some force fields to try and give himself time, but I don't think there's actually a good way to back away from this. He just has to try and turn and fight, and that means he's going to lose everything. The Prism dying to a Widow Mine is such a huge deal, because even if you just get a reinforcing round of Zealots here, they actually do so well because this is basically just Marauders. Oh my god, run Colossus, run. I can't believe he stops to fight, but it actually works to force Maru to turn back around. Maru down on 45 SCVs after this. Remember, he also was forced to lift this base. He lost the SCVs there. Some damage in the right side base too. And then he's got the bottom left up and running again. If Trap had just known about the bottom left, he could have ran to the bottom left instead of kind of just pushing up this ramp. Then you would have killed this base. Or at least you get the SCVs there. Yeah, now the DTs realize they're like, oh my god, there's a base here. Well, at least the DTs are here to shut down the economy. So Trap is going to deny this. Again, this is a scenario right now where we see some cute play from the planetary that kills 2 of the DTs. The scenario right now where Trap is way down on army supply, and the masses of Marauders might just get the job done. Again, Trap's army is technically better when it comes to kind of the cost of these units and what's involved to make them, but the problem is masses of Marauders, there's no answer to it. Finally, some Zealots showing up, and honestly, the Zealots should do a lot here because there really was just no answer to Marauders until now, but Marauders do not do well against Zealots, and they also don't do well against Immortals. And I'd almost like to see a couple of Immortals in production instead of 2 Colossi, because I think 2 Immortals might just go a long way against a Maru who is seemingly wanting to just build Marauder after Marauder to try and just end this game. Nice catch on the Observer that only just got caught in the scan. Observer not something you can afford to rebuild necessarily right now as the Prism flies forward, but there's barely any anti-air here. It's something you can't really afford to rebuild, and it's be something that the Robo build time, right? If you build an Observer, you're not building Colossi or Immortals, and that's a big issue as well in this scenario. As Maru loses more SCVs, the DTs have continued to go across the map harassing, and Trap has bought himself the time to get stacked back up in this game when it comes to numbers. He's had 80 probes, he just had to give time for the 80 probes to turn into an army, and that has now happened. An army on the left side, army on the right. Maru is starting to collect things together. I actually think Observers might just be the one thing he really needs. He's not doing anything with the Robos, so it would have been a chance to build them, and now he adds them on. It's the right call. You absolutely need those Observers. There's cannons over here. No super battery or anything, though. He's pulling probes into fight. Well, I mean, you've got to be careful of Widow Mines. He managed to dodge away. Now the Zealots show up. But, of course, you're going to have to strike back on the right side, so that's something to worry about here. As Trap goes chasing, there is nothing to defend this base. I don't think Trap cares because he says, if I chase this right now, I'm going to get bases of my own. He may get this space. He can probably leave via killing this space. So yeah, he's probably going to get bases in return. As the Zealots eat some Widow Mine shots, though. Man, those Widow Mines are brutal. Because now the Zealots are kind of a little bit low on HP, so they might not be able to do as much. He might get bottom left, though, and I think if you get bottom left, this is okay. But you do need the bottom left, because if you don't get the bottom left-hand side, this army's not done yet. He's going to start killing Robos with it. I think you just want to kill these SCVs and recall home if you've got a recall available. And he does on the main base, and he might just have to go to the main base to get down here in time. He's trying to build disruptors. Recalls to the main, just a portion of the army. That's fine as well. You don't have to bring everything. Man, this little drop did a lot, though. Natural went down. Oh my goodness, there's a couple of mines here. He just needs to power the cannon, right? Oh, he's okay. He's got the Observer and everything. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, just could have used the Prism to power the cannon. Those mines got close to going off again. Trap brought down to 51 probes during all of this. Maru on 30 SCVs. Army supply is dead similar, but again, I gotta say, what is in these armies is really important. You've got, 4 Colossi versus 2 Ghosts and 9 Mines as the tech. Well, the Mines are actually pretty nice still. And the Ghosts, a couple will go a long way. 20 Marauders, 17 Marines. Obviously, you just lost the Robos. You lose production on that. You do not have a Temple Archives or anything either. It's been DTs more from those Archons. And Trap doesn't exactly have the gas right now either. 51 probes working as Maru sends his natural to the left side. He only has 2 orbitals left, by the way, because one of the orbitals that died earlier was the main base relocated. So Maru is struggling when it comes to just base count. This base will probably have to move somewhere soon as well. He is really strapped for cash. Boy, we're getting a great best of 5 out of these 2. Looks as though Trap might have this game under control, and maybe he goes up 2-0, but even still, two pretty awesome games. This one's been excellent. I mean, the first game maybe you could argue was a bit boring, a little bit uninteresting for a while, but this one's been fab. As we have an attack on the left side. Maru knows he needs to try and split this Protoss army up. He knows that's how he wins against the stack of tech units. That is the answer at the moment. Similarly goes down to the top of Colossi. Coming through and getting a Marine, and that's a horrible time to lag.
Game paused.
Trap is not wrong. That is some lag. Not sure if that's on. It obviously is potential as an observer. I know Trap had some issues the other day in the Chinese event with some lag. I'm gonna get this resumed, and we do go back and forth then as Maru backs away. And we resume at the left-hand side with a bit of bio. That's gonna find a this Dark Shrine already. So Dark Shrine will fall. I mean, that's actually pretty nice. I mean, that Dark Shrine's been there the entire game, and the DTs have been a big issue for Maru. Especially as of late, these harassing DTs have done a lot for Trap, so shutting down the Dark Shrine is actually a pretty big deal. It's a really nice catch. Maru finally finds it 20 minutes deep in this game. It was built at, what, 3-4 minutes? I don't mind shot down by these few Stalkers. DT's run in, Widowmine's blowing up, and well, DT's going to continue as we do see the scan comes in. I feel like that's the last few DTs, right? Yep, that was the last of the Dark Templar. Trap is expanding aggressively down the left side, by the way, as he had to recall just now into the main base again to defend this. Loses the Colossus in the process, though. Man, Maru is really just running on fumes at the moment. He's got basically no mining. He's got this base, which is actually kind of healthy because it got denied a couple times. So he's kind of got like one base of mining. I guess Trap's not in too far off a situation. He's got this base just about going and the left side base going too. So yeah, I guess it really isn't that unsimilar. I feel like Maru's. I feel like in my head Maru's on worse economy than he actually is. It would be great if we could see an income graph, but we don't have game hard turned on. I think the mineral income's the same. Just Maru isn't mining as much gas, but he's setting up the gases on this bottom side now. So let's charge forward. Widow mines will go off, and Orbital Command taking some damage. EMP is going down too. Ghost gets taken down. Marines and Marauders still coming in. We're going to see Marines and Marauders from the top side as well. Colossi being chased. Stalkers have to blink up. The flank is obviously huge. Nice force field on the right. Does slow down the Bio Army. Just that little bit extra. Anything to slow this down, and it's going to help out massively. That flank was terrifying, but Trap handled it well. Another game that ends around the 22-minute marker. GG. Trap goes up 2-0. All right, well, we start off down to the bottom right-hand side as down 2-0. Our red Terran player from Team NV. Let's give some energy to Maru, who has just not found a way through this bracket just yet. On the upper left, our blue Protoss player is Trap. For game 3, he's up 2-0 on map to qualify to the DreamHack SC2 Masters Last Chance event. You wonder how this is going to go as the gateway drops down from Trap in the main base. And we bring in this probe now down to the lower right-hand side. I guess I'll make a little quick shout out as well, because we'll probably put this one on the YouTube channel, and it's been a little while since I've reminded people, if you're on the YouTube channel and watching there, to maybe hit that like button to support the video, and if you don't already, subscribe to see when we put new videos up every day and stuff like that, then hit that subscribe button as well. We again, I say this a few times lately, but we have had a big slowdown on the YouTube lately, so anything to help push us along and to keep us ticking is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much in advance. It's going to be seeing the probe coming through in this main base, just scouting around. It's a pretty regular Reaper expansion once again here from Maru, so again, no engineering bay block attempts or anything here on Ramanda's side. Probe and an SCV have a little bit of a skirmish, have a little bit of a fight. Wanting to bring the probe along. The Marine going to be here to push that probe away, and the Reaper knows where the probe went, so the Reaper will chase for the kill. I think the real story of both games so far is that Maru really didn't have a very good opener. You know, in last game he was really saved by a very fortunate Widow Mine that found 7 probes in the end, when Trap thought he had cleaned them all up. If it wasn't for that mine, that last game might not have ended up being the kind of close epic back and forth it was. And I think that's just something to remember going into the early game here on Romanticide as well, is that Trap's early game has been really impeccable compared to what Maru has been able to do. There's another, I mentioned the 4-gate blink last time, turned out to be DTs. It could be 4-gate blink this time as the robo comes down quickly. Obviously there's no pile on the map to hide a Dark Shrine, but the other reason I just say that for is because, you know, you look at this and Romanticide again, you hit at the front, you got that blink straight into the main after. Wow, sorry, the Adept getting a second SCV as you watch the Reaper die. But yes, you have the blink straight into the main, and there's so much space in this main base that you can actually blink in, and even if you've got tank coverage here, you can maybe get to the side here, work forward, pick at the refinery. So there's a lot of opportunity with 4 gateways of blink stalkers on this map, and that's something to watch out for. Something to be very careful about in general as we see extra gates dropping down already from Trap, and it is going to be the 4 gates. So yeah, I think it's I almost wonder if it's predictable from Maru, because does Maru look at this and say, he's going to do the same thing twice? I feel like my assumption if I was Maru right now would be probably 4 gate blink, right? But you can't just blindly assume, and you do have to respect that. So he's going to go Raven, so you'll have detection in case there was DTs. He goes 3rd CC before he goes into extra barrack. I always, the thing I feel about with 3CC is I always feel 3 command centers are very... You don't have a lot of pushback on these stalkers. You kind of have to just sit there and absorb the damage, right? There's no good answer otherwise. You don't get stim or combat shields until, what, like 8 minutes or so? So it's a really, really late set of upgrades that will be essential for actually pushing out and kind of pushing this army of stalkers away. So you really just can't push those stalkers away at all for, like, the longest time, basically. Stalkers and the Adept gathering at the front as we do see the Raven with the Marines. I mean, the cool thing about this Raven is you would be able to shoot down an Observer. And that is exactly what will happen here. Now, that doesn't remove high ground vision, but it does make it more difficult to know where your opponent is attacking into and when. And that's obviously, or where you should be attacking into and when, because now you don't know where your opponent's units are positioned. However, this is going to be not a bad start as he's going to lift up a Stalker against the auto turret. The tank obviously wasn't up here in this main base siege at all, and the tank is still not sieging. I'm a little worried for the siege tank here. The Stalker should either be blinking out or getting help from the Prism, though. 8 SCVs already down. I mean, it's a good start. However, the siege tank didn't go down, so you do keep that alive. But we also had a siege tank number 2 was never really in production, so yeah, while the first tank survives, so what really? As now he's going to go for this tank. It only gets 1 shot off. I think Maru just might die here. I mean, this is 14 SCVs already gone. Next tank is now outside. I didn't realize there was another tank up in the main base. There was a second tank here. I was going to say, it's crazy if he doesn't have one, because that just leaves him so vulnerable. Oh, Prism, though, might go down. And losing the Prism means you lose high ground vision. He does keep it alive, but he's taken a lot of shots from the Stalkers. They've had to run out of some funny positions so far. As now the Stalker's going to blink in the main. But this is where we're going to see, we talked about this main base being huge. He blinks up in this main base right now. There's absolutely just a world in which he's going to blink for the tank, but he only has the Stalkers to 2-shot the tank, and even then he loses some, so that wasn't ideal. The problem is the Stalker count going down now is not great, because then you lose the real dangerous part of this. I mean, he's already done a lot of damage, and I think Trap transitions in a very safe way. You know, you get a 3rd base, Robo Bay, and Forge, and I think you're completely fine to be doing that. And now we blink forward. These Stalkers continue to do well as Marines get picked away at. And the Prism is looking to come around the bottom side while unloading the main base. Put a little bit of extra damage up as well. Engineering Bay down on the front. And yeah, the Stalker's just going to unload from Trap and press forward. Going to come through, and SCV's already taking a lot of shots. 2, 3 SCVs going down already. Make that 4. So 4 SCVs will fall. On the other side, a scan from Maru is like, well, where are you at? Just doesn't know where he's at, maybe. He lost so many SCVs this game. But of course, 3CC helps you absorb that damage. It's just we are only just now on the way towards Stimpack, and obviously waiting for that is going to feel like an eternity when you're kind of just sat here taking damage. You maybe want to get across the map to try and deal some damage yourself. Tank gets set up. Going to be seeing the refinery on the way down, so a second gas coming up over there as we'll see this pylon coming through also behind this mineral line. Stalkers will just blink away up through the center. Trap finally gonna let up on the pressure, so Maru can take his third CC. Has a couple tanks set up, but again, I think again the theme of this series, Maru's early game does not really go well for him, and you know he's been able to pull some games out of it, but I imagine this one is, by the way, one of those games which he will turn into a sit back and camp game if he feels like he just can't attack. Similar to what he did on Pillars of Gold. I mean, this is pretty much the perfect map for doing it on. I guess Death Ore was pretty good for it as well. They're going to move around the upper right, so that's having a look around as the Templar Archives coming in here as well. +1 attack is going to be done in just a few moments, so finishing that up as Combat Shield, 1/1 upgrades, all of that still coming in also. Here's the ults charge through, and they find a Marine already. As Maru is going to be sitting defensively. Now, defensively here, I think he's okay. You know, stats, 3 Colossi seems scary, but then you've got the tanks which can target fire them. Command Center to Sim City, and obviously the ramp to push up, and interference matrices to worry about. So I don't think Trap commits to a fight. I think for Trap, the players take a 4th base, just get set up and settle down, and don't go pushing too heavily in, because that's one of the things he did on Death Ore that really gave the game back to Maru a little bit. Matrix on the Prism right away. The Zealots are just going to go for it. Trap believes he's got enough to just end this game, but the Colossi are firing at a Command Center. And once again, Trap loses a ton of army supply, trying to attack into a position that he just can't break. Yeah, it's exactly what happened on Death Ore. Trap just tries to commit to fights, which, well, doesn't really need to commit to. But now he's taking the 4th base so late. His 4th is going to be behind Maru's. He is pushing through here. He is doing some good damage to the Marines, but the tanks are still covering the ramp. SCVs start to pull in, but Maru has enough to hold on. It almost feels like Trav is just desperate to deal damage, like he doesn't want to let this go late, which I can understand. Maru's scary, but you're only making it more difficult for yourself by committing to attacks like this. Yeah, Maru's going to be a terrifying late game opponent. If you give up your entire army, try and push through you know, what's a pretty walled up area multiple times. Like I say, the first fight might not have been so bad for him if this Command Center hadn't been the one taking so much of the damage. If those Colossi had actually been putting damage onto the army properly, it's probably a very different fight, yeah. That's just obviously not how this was going, as now we've got units on this left side going to pick off these rocks. Stalker's going to go up to the top, and 5 bases do set up here from Trap. I like this from Trap, though, as Maru takes a step forward towards the 4th base. Maru has no vision down the bottom side, so maybe the 3rd base is actually going to be a good striking position now for Trap to actually get damage done. So here we go. He's going to move up, and Maru just has no idea. He hasn't even left anything behind, really. So these Zealots just going to charge in. SCVs have to lift, and well, Odal has to lift. The SCVs have to run. Can you attack into this now? I mean, obviously you've got a bit more of an open space. You know, this would be where you could maybe attack in if you haven't lost so much before now. Stalker's going to find some SCVs on the right side, mind you. And okay, now Trap seems to be a bit more like, maybe I shouldn't just run in all silly like. And he's right. The army supply lead is really starting to open up, though, and that's just the amount of SCVs Maru's now lost in the game. He's lost 34 workers this far. That's obviously a ridiculous amount of kills, as now Maru's trying to set up an engineering bay block from the left-hand side. Here we go, the attack will start. And the Vikings could actually just be hit by the Archons. If the Archons just hit the Vikings would get massacred. But instead, he doesn't do much about them. And now the Vikings will chase and kill Colossi. Extra Stalkers showing up, but there's Marauders and Marines that are going to stim in on this. And, well, there's just no Prism nearby either. So we are not going to see any reinforcements arriving from Trap. His tech count resets. He's reset to 0 splash damage. Now 2 more Archons on the way at home. And dare I say that once again, Trap, it almost feels like Trap's got a date to get to, you know? It feels like Trap's like, oh my god, you know, what, like 10 p.m. Korea, I've got to go off and catch a bus somewhere or something. And he's trying to end this in the next 2 or 3 minutes, but yeah, he really was in a position to just play this much longer game. I mean, now he's on 5 bases, going to 6. You look at resources lost, yes, it's bad for him, but he's mining a lot more. I just feel like he is, especially by losing the splash damage, he's making life really difficult. As we do see this Observer spotting the move out now. This could be bad for Maru. Okay, he knows about the army over here, so he will get sieged in time. So A, Trap is back in time, and B, Maru is sieged in time. Yeah, but now Maru's got this dream position. Trap broke down the rocks of Maru. He never broke down his own rocks, which means that these tanks set up aggressively are really difficult to deal with. This is a very difficult position to attack into as Trap. And he's brought it on himself. Yeah, this is tough. I mean, this next is taking some damage. Zealots across the other side will do well. And SCVs are dropping once more. As Maru hard commits for the base, we do see the tanks maybe a little bit left alone here. Obviously, reinforcements weren't allowed to join up. They're at home defending the Zealots. And Maru gets cleaned out. Good job by Trap in the end. He found a way to fight this. And I think the Zealots were a critical part of it. Keeping reinforcements at home and maybe causing Maru to pay attention there than anywhere else. 17 SCVs fell. That's a lot. A lot of SCVs, actually, as the Archons. Continuing in here from Trap, going to rally forward. The Libs already sieging up, but we do have everything from Trap looking to get going. A big EMP onto the Immortals, onto the Colossus. We do have Zealots. I mean, another couple of EMPs coming down. Pushing forward into this here, we're going to be seeing our, well, Command Center. Our Planetary Fortress will be a big point of defense. That one Colossus is going to fire from a distance here. I just don't think Maru has the numbers. This tank trying to come down from the high ground is not going to do much either. And as the Stalkers blink in, I think everything else will just get cleaned up. SCVs are getting absolutely destroyed. And that, my friends, is going to be Trap. Cleaning house and taking it down. Well, is it? Io showing up. He's targeting the planetary. He'll get the planetary. Is it enough from Trap? Yes, it is. GG from Maru. Trap takes it 3-0, a sweep. And I will say again, I think the early game for Maru was one of the big problems.